budget session for May 28th. Clerk, call to order, please.
Squire Sebastian, bless you.
Hello?
Squire Sebastian,
You here?
Here.
okay. Squire Blackburn,
Present.
Squire Muller,
Present.
Squire Tracy,
Here.
Squire Booth,
Here.
Here, and Cameron, you don't have your microphone activated.
yes, Squire Booth, I cannot because it interferes with the judge's microphone, so I just use his. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Okay. Squire Moore,
I can hear you fine, yes.
thank you.
Here.
Judge Wells,
You can probably hear through the walls too, yeah. I'm here, all right. Everybody welcome, department heads, magistrates, welcome to the work session. Ms. Susan, I'll ask that you begin the work session, a review of the numbers and any comments, and then we'll go down the line and I'll call on the magistrates. Ms. Susan, welcome. Thank you for getting everything up to date.
Thank you, Court. Good afternoon. Let's start with the bottom line and then we'll get back into the nitty gritty of it. We've had some very exhaustive, great efforts on everybody's part for coming up with a very conservative, responsible plan to move forward into the new fiscal year. With 4 in-depth meetings and including today, and we can incorporate any additional tweaks we might need to make, of course, in our meeting today. But with, as you can see, we've started with basically, even before we started, we made cuts because the disaster hit. Initially the judge had proposed a CPI increase for staff that would have been equal to the January 1 CPI that the officers get, but that was immediately pulled, and for an immediate savings, obviously going into a crisis. But the cuts have still been made and are very significant with the new budget that's being proposed. In particular, we've looked at line by line. We've taken out over $600,000 worth of equipment and vehicles. That is significant. There were 6 vehicles in last year's budget. There's nothing in this year's budget. There was a large piece of equipment for the road department, $185,000 loader of some sort, mowers and special equipment, no law enforcement vehicles in this budget. So we've stripped out some significant capital items to help provide a very conservative start for our spending plan for the new year. There, as you know, we have a very detailed line item budget, which we're required to maintain by state rules. And we've looked at each line over and over, and we have made cuts to many of those lines. There were some lines that did have to have increases to them to capture our mandated appropriations requirements versus, and also, to capture our need to make plans for handling the crisis, the COVID crisis, which would have some additional spending associated with it. And most importantly, the one major capital item we were already obligated to and committed to, we are moving forward with our fire apparatus, which we've incorporated as in the capital acquisition fund as a $900,000 commitment that we'll visit the details on that early in the next fiscal year. But overall, the decrease in the draft proposal that we're looking at in this work session is $406,006 decrease from the prior year. And as always, a budget in the county government does require reserves to balance, and even that figure has decreased even with the decreases in the revenue projections. So that's an overview. of where we can start. I can go to we can go to the detail worksheet, and Judge, take it over from here about how you want to proceed with feedback today on the working document.
Okay, Susan, before we proceed, let me ask you this question. That for the court, for our community as they're watching, is this a sound budget? Will this budget carry us into the new year in a very sound fashion? And do you recommend the first reading on this budget?
I've done every single number, and I can say that it's a balanced, responsible appropriations plan that can get us well started into the new fiscal year. And as developments occur with our economy, we can make adjustments as needed, and also to the response to the disaster, we can make adjustments as needed. Franklin County, fortunately, very fortunately, has a significant cash cushion that many other counties have not had. We have little to no debt, which has also been to our to a good thing for us going into a crisis where we can basically borrow against ourselves instead of somewhere else. But yes, sir, this is a sound spending plan, appropriations plan, and it's just that. It's a plan, a starting point that everyone will have continual input on as the dynamics of all of this environment we're in continues to develop.
Okay, thank you, Susan. With that said, we're going to go in this order. Squire Moore, you'll be first, Booth second, Tracy third, Muller fourth, Blackburn fifth, Sebastian sixth. Squire Moore, you're on the clock, sir, as they would say.
Yes, sir. I don't have any changes to bring before the group at this time, Judge.
Okay. Squire Booth. Mute. There you go.
I didn't have my microphone on.
There you go.
I do not have anything to ask or to comment.
Okay. Squire Tracy. Squire Tracy, your video is definitely not coming through. I don't know about your audio yet.
Yes, he sent a text that he's having some connection issues.
Okay. Squire Tracy, Andrew, is there any advice that you could give Squire Tracy while we're waiting on him? Andrew Tippett? Is it that much a delay?
Well,
Yes, sir, Judge. I assume it's a bandwidth issue, so he probably just needs to log off and log back in.
Okay. I hope Squire Tracy heard that. Okay, we'll come back to Squire Tracy. Squire Muller?
All right. You got me, Judge?
Yeah, we got you. You're coming through loud and clear. Thank you.
Hope everybody's doing well today. And thank you, Susan, and everybody for their hard work during these difficult times. I had a couple things to start off. First one, I guess it'd probably be to you, Judge. I noticed the solid waste administrator, looks like there's a raise in that line item. Is that right?
No? Is there a solid waste?
she's making less than the previous solid waste.
No. I don't have a raise in there.
What line, you want to give me?
What line are you on?
01-5215-107. The 2020 budget was 41,250, and it looks like it's 46,001.
That's in line with what that individual is making now.
So that's correct then. So the 2020. So that's where she's at now.
Correct.
What was she making?
She started mid-year, so the line item was not budgeted
Okay,
until it was budgeted before she was employed.
That, all right, that's right. You understand that, Squire? That she
Okay,
did,
yes, sir.
so that made that change. So she's not getting a raise, no. That, to answer your question, no.
Okay, I just want to make sure, it just stood out to me on the line item.
Yeah, okay.
Another thing, if I could circle back and the maintenance at the park, and I know Charlie talked about sand for the volleyball courts, which I thought was already in this year's budget, and I'm just still wanting to look at that $35,000 mark as far as, I can't imagine sand costing that much. I was going to see if Charlie could maybe speak on that. That is line item 015401-586.
Charlie, you on the line? Did you get that question?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the sand volleyball, we were hoping to add to that, in this next budget. But it looks like we dropped it $5,000 from, we're currently at 40, we dropped it to 35. We were hoping to get some more in this year's budget with the park improvement line item. But basically, when things picked up here at the park and actually in March, things actually slowed down to where we had to slow our expenditures and basically get out of the way for testing, for the COVID-19 testing, and make some adjustments there. We were unable to purchase the sand for, even out of this year's budget, in which we also have taken it out of next year's budget.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. Can you tell me, I think during one of our park meetings, you said you have gotten 2 estimates on that finished white sand. Do you know off the top of your head how much that actually is?
I do remember discussing that. I would have to look back in my notes to get an exact quote. The white sand, I do know, is significantly more than the brown sand that we have in there. I can circle back and get that number for you.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Jack, if you want to go to somebody else, that's where I'm at right now.
Okay.
So maybe go back to Scott.
Squire Tracy, we see you now.
Hey, good afternoon, Judge. How are you?
Hey, and we hear you.
Just a couple quick questions. In today's court packet, there's a transfer into the medical at the jail, and I think that transfer will take the medical over 700 and some thousand. But looking back at what's budgeted for this year, it's only 500 and so medical budget is 576 for medical services, but with the transfer, it's going to shoot this year's total over 700 and something. So is what's budgeted in medical, is that an adequate number? Because I know we transfer a lot of money into that line item, and I know medical's been touched on several times. So it's about $150,000 difference in what is projected for this upcoming budget compared to what we're actually going to spend in the budget we're currently in.
Well, let's go to Jailer Bonta first, and then Susan, you can come in.
Or 100, I'm sorry, right at 100, I'm sorry. Sorry, Judge.
Jailer Bonta.
Yes, sir. I've been dealing with the contract for Southern Health Partners most of this week. The contract budget is 576,628. That's the same as last year. I didn't change it any. Here's the thing with medical. I can't control it. I can't control what medical issues we're going to have. We've had numerous, in my 8+ months, we've had numerous people go to the hospital for various crazy reasons. I can't predict that. I can't control it. All I can do is make sure they get medical treatment. So, yeah, we've had to put some money in the line item from other places, and I'm thankful that we had those places to cover it. Right now, the reduction in inmates is helping, and, you know, I hope there's enough in there next year, but I can't predict what kind of medical issues we're gonna have in the next year.
So, Jailer.
No, I
Bonner-
completely understand. My question,
Go ahead, go ahead.
no, like I say, I completely understand. I'm just asking if that is an adequate amount. Do you feel like that's an adequate amount that you've budgeted?
Well,
That was my question.
Squire, it's about the contract that we go with them. You know, we go by a contract, and then if it goes over our cost pool, and what causes that is trips to the hospital and things of that nature. So should it be higher? Maybe. Maybe we get lucky next year, we don't have as much medical issues. It's like hitting a moving target, Smart Tracy.
Jailer Bonner.
The reason I left that line item the same is because it's trying to stay either go down or continuation budget as much as possible.
Jailer Bonner, if you would, because the general public
Thank you.
is watching and trying to figure this out. Explain what about the contract and why do we have a contract with Southern Health Partners for inmates? Explain that. What
Southern
happens?
Health Partners, we've had a contract with Southern Health Partners at the jail since 2002. Last year, we went to a 24-hour medical service contract. It was the first year of it, and that may be an issue with the contract too. It was the first year. There's a lot of unknowns. We have 24-hour medical, and it saved lives. We have to provide medical. There's a cost pool. There's a per diem. It has a huge impact on the amount of inmates that we have, and right now we're below it, so we're not paying a per diem. We pay $1.15 per inmate at 275 and over. That's just part of the contract that I inherited. Right now, for the last few months, we've been way under that, so we're saving some money. But at the same time, we've had people that needed medical care. So
I'm sorry. I'm
it's
sorry,
like it's a
Jailer.
moving target.
I'm sorry, Jailer Bonner. I wasn't really clear on what I was wanting you to explain. The county has to pay for the medical services when an inmate needs it. So that's basically, I want you to give a brief synopsis of what that entails.
Well, if a county inmate needs medical treatment, we have to provide that. The state inmate's a little different, federal is completely different. So we have to feed them, we have to clothe them, and we have to give them medical attention when they need it.
So if an inmate is sick and they're seen by a nurse in the jail, do we have to take them to when we take them to the hospital, who pays for that?
We do.
Okay, we're getting some feedback from somebody. Somebody's got some feedback somewhere. Squire Sebastian.
Yeah, thank you, Judge. Court members, good to see you all today. Good to hear everybody else on the phone. So, Jailer Bronte, can you talk, because I had some questions along the same line as Squire Tracy, so our questions will probably overlap in some form or fashion.
Hold on. I'm sorry, Squire Sebastian. It's not your turn. I'm sorry. I thought you were just making a question. Let me go through.
Staff is on site 24 hours a day. What are they equipped to handle? What triggers a out?
All right, did you get that? Jailer Bonner?
Sir, I got like every other word. I don't know what her question is. I'm so sorry.
I
didn't get it all.
I didn't get it either. It was actually.
Can I try again?
Sure, try again.
Okay, so my question is since medical staff is on site 24 hours a day, what triggers, what capacity of, situations do they have to handle, and what triggers a visit outside of the outside of the facility to the hospital or additional medical care?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Emergency medical care. If, I'm not gonna speak for a nurse, I don't have a medical degree. But if the nurse makes the call, or the doctor, that is the LPN or the doctor that's in makes the call, we send them, for numerous emergency reasons. Something I'd like to add too is, we deal with, withdrawal here quite a bit. And, that stems a lot of our trips to the hospital.
okay. Squire Blackburn. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
We got you.
Awesome. Actually, the other magistrates touched on the questions that I had, so I don't have anything further at this time.
Okay, well, Squire Muller, I saw your hand up just as I was calling Squire Blackburn. Squire Muller?
I was just gonna ask the jailer if he could, when he says we have 24/7 healthcare at the jail, just so I understand it, do we have personnel there all the time, or do we do like tele doctor, or Jake, could you explain that to me?
Yeah, it's my statement of 24-hour medical, there is an actual person here. I think they've missed one day in the last couple of months, one evening in the last couple of months, and then they reimburse us for that. They have trouble hiring people just like we do, but it's not a call-in, contract, it's actually a nurse here.
Okay, thank you so much, Jailer. Thank you, Judge.
Are they, Ms. Jailer Bonner, are they a registered nurse, an RN?
They're, I believe, LPNs and, and LPNs, yes.
Okay, okay. Are there any other questions for Jailer Bonta on the jail? Squire Tracy?
Yeah, just one more. Jailer Bonner, can you tell us where we're at as far as number of inmates today?
Give me just 1 second. I'll pull it up for you, because it changes by a minute. 183. We went up a few this holiday weekend.
Staffing level still okay? Have you lost any more?
Not that I'm aware of. I still believe we're at 46, somewhere in that area. I'm gonna try to stay there and at 48 as much as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back through any other. This time, let's go back to you, Squire Moore. Or do you have any questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Charlie, is there any plans to do any painting on the barns? The barns are looking pretty shabby.
Not at this time. I think that's a great idea.
Get the inmates back, maybe we could do something, because
Yeah,
that could be detrimental to those barns if they're not getting some paint on them.
yeah, I agree. It's been several years since they've been painted, and it's well overdue. I'm all for it. We get the inmates back, we'll put it on the list for sure.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Judge, this is Jake. Can I say something on that?
Yes, sir.
I spoke to the jailers conference last week. They didn't have a conference this week. They're supposed to readdress inmates going out June 1st. I'm not sure what the answer's gonna be, but Charlie, if you'll get with me, we'll get that project, we'll help you with that.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jake. Let's go now to Squire Booth again. We'll go back through one more time. Squire Booth.
I am trying to see, okay, there we go. Since the other magistrates have asked questions, I have been reminded to myself of things that I'm curious about. The jail medical, expenses. We knew that that was going to happen because the jail is really it's really a hospital in itself. People are brought there to detox. And that's why I suggested, or I wanted, or I commented that we need more isolation cells, because people are taking too much stimulants or depressants, and they attract the attention of law enforcement. So we're just going to have to swallow the medical cost for the people that experience too much of a stimulant or depressant. And I think that's sad. But on the park, I think that they're doing the very best they can, and it's considered a good time, I guess, to go to the park. So that's why people concentrate on the park for saving money. But we need that good time, don't we, Charlie? So I have no other comments other than the fire protection fund. I wanted to know why the fire protection fund has a receipt for, I guess, insurance. Why is that? Do they get a kickback because they do such a good job that the insurance is decreased, or why? Am I not understanding the budget correctly? But there is a line, and I don't have it right in front of me, where there is a revenue from insurance.
Chief, are you on? Do you want to speak to that?
Judge,
Susan? Okay, Susan, you speak to it, yeah.
a couple of comments. Number one, there was an accident with one of the vehicles, and it caused significant repairs, actually the tune of $124,000, and it shows as insurance repairs. So the majority of the decrease in the fire protection budget is really associated with that one-time event. The other item, and I'm not sure if this is what Squire Booth is referring to regarding insurance on the employee health or health insurance. I had a small decrease there in that because the estimates that were high for 2020 budget and working on a continuation budget, we did find some savings there when we had our renewal, which is mid-year, or our mid-fiscal year, works on a calendar year basis. So there was some budgetary savings in that line item, as well as in the workers' comp quotes that we have in place going into 21 for those values. So those are three lines on the expense appropriation worksheet that impact the fire protection fund. I'm not sure if that answers Squire Booth's questions or not.
No, I was asking why there is a revenue from insurance attributed to the fire protection. And I guess I didn't understand it correctly.
Okay, Squire Booth, I can't remember what year it was. I believe it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago that we, because the fire service is such a large obligation, over $5 million, we removed that as a department from the general fund and made it a standalone fund. And at that time, we attributed to have a source of revenue and just instead of total transfers, the insurance premium tax to that fund to show on the receipt side, but we still make as many transfers from the general fund dollar-wise to make up the shortfall to cover the department. If that answers your question.
Well, yes, okay, thank you. I don't have any further comment or questions.
Okay, Squire Tracy?
Quick question for John at the road department. John, obviously, the road department has given. With the news from the state in regards to the road fund and so forth, and how important it is to maintain our county roads and county ditching and so forth. Construction materials and maintenance equipment both have been cut, and is that something that you're comfortable with?
We should be able to make that work. Construction materials, that's, that's not state funded stuff. That's not big projects, that's just little stuff. So we can handle with that. The maintenance, hopefully we don't have any big breakdowns. That's all we can hope for.
Okay, and then obviously and I guess maybe this isn't on the budget part of it, but obviously with the rain that we got over the last weekend, I'm not sure, I would think everybody received calls in regards to flooding. Is there any schedule, do you have any plans or schedule put together? I know you're running short, but as far as a ditching, do you plan on starting that anytime soon? And if so, can we get a list to you?
No, I haven't planned on starting that just yet. And as a matter of fact, you can ditch every day, all day from now on, and you get rains like we had this weekend. There's no amount of ditch going to handle it. So, it's just part of the way it works. There is some ditching that needs to happen, but, that's all. You got to play the weather game along with everything else. So, it can happen, but I don't have a plan at the moment. But you can send me whatever you like, and we'll put a plan together.
Okay, and what about, I know there's some roads that I was contacted on that said they couldn't remember the last time they were ditched. That's the only reason I asked. What about culvert checking? If we send, like I said, is that part of the list? Can we just send that to you, John?
Yeah, send it to me.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Squire Muller?
Thank you. Judge, did you say Robert Hewitt on the line? I had a question or two for him.
Yeah, Robert's on the line. Robert, Squire Muller has a question for you.
Hey, Robert, hope you're doing well today. I had a question. On your line item for engineering services, is that put out for bid every year, or how does that work as far as that service that's being provided to us?
I have two engineering line items. One is for civil engineering, the other is for stormwater consultant engineer. The civil engineering is not bid every year. It's done, not on a regular schedule. We've been with Otis Engineering for quite some time now.
Robert, I would say, I'm gonna comment on that, and Squire Blackburn knows this, and Squire Tracy, and as we've gone through projects and worked with the state, talked with the state on several things, it's good that we have an engineer that that has some consistency and knows that, and has a folder on all the projects that go back for several years. So it's valuable that we have, not only does he give us a good rate, but he also knows our projects. And so I think that's an asset that our engineer gives us by over the past 2 or 3 years, 4 years. I think 4 years he's been doing it, I believe. Wouldn't you say, Robert?
Yes.
Okay, and then one other thing, and I have a note here from last meeting. It just says electrical inspector. Do you know where we are with that? It seems like we've been talking about that position for a while now. Squire Blackburn usually brings it up. Is there anything new as far as where that is with talks with the city, I guess?
No, not that I'm aware.
Nope. All of us is just trying to get through this. We had a couple of meetings ago, Squire Blackburn brought that up, and we said that, and Squire Blackburn had talked with Keith Parker, and he told him that there's a lot of other issues that we're trying to get through, but he's willing to sit down and look at it. So, isn't that right, Squire Blackburn? You want to comment on that?
Yes, sir. I did talk with Keith. It's been several weeks now, though, but he did want to get together and get some more folks at the table, and because I think it's broader than just negotiating that one contract. How we look at it moving forward.
Okay, nothing else right now, Judge. Thank you.
Okay. Squire Blackburn?
No, sir, Judge. I don't have anything to add.
Squire Sebastian?
Thank you, Judge. I think I'll just take both my turns here. When we were discussing the jail earlier, Jailer Bonta, you had mentioned that right now you're at 46 on staff. I think I'm just trying to figure out what level of staffing you feel comfortable with at the jail, since we set the level of staffing. We've discussed, I think, 46, we've discussed 48. I just want to be sure I understand that today, so that as we have this discussion, we all know what we are locked in for. So if you could talk just a little bit about that, just so I can be sure it's either 46 or 48, I think we've talked about in the past.
Yes, ma'am. The number's been 48. I have a few applicants. I just haven't hired anybody at this time, I'm kind of waiting out this to see where we're at. I've been utilizing, and right now I have community service deputies that are working in-house instead of going, I'm rotating, so I have a little help there. 48 is a comfortable number. I feel safe with that, with the numbers we have. Numbers go up, we may need to readdress them for safety reasons and to have officers to help us regain revenue. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. I just want to make sure that the court heard that the 48 is the number we'll be working with in regard to the jail staff. Thank you, Jailer. Appreciate that. Also, there was some material in our packet that we'll discuss later on today. And in that, I'm just trying to figure out, does this budget that we're discussing today, does it include proposed raise for a building inspector to the tune of $11,500 or $600? Just need to see where I've missed that somewhere, maybe in here.
No, Susan, it doesn't include that, does it? It would be adopted.
No, there are no promotions in this other than rank and file of fire.
All right, I just wanted to be clear. I saw something in there that was somewhat puzzling, so I'll remain puzzled about it. But no, it is not in here, to be clear, correct?
That is correct. But
Okay,
if all of this goes through, then it will come back and be amended in the new budget after July. Susan, let's go back, and Jake, let's go back. Correct me if I am wrong on this, but I thought the number that we've approved for the jail staff is 52. We're working with 48 because of the numbers being down, and actually it's 46 because the numbers being down. Am I wrong on that?
No, sir. My talks with Susan were 52, allotted for, and you all have asked me to stay around 48. I've done that plus some.
Yeah.
So my number in my mind right now is you all have asked us to be at 48, and I'm going to do so. We were at 52 prior to COVID. We lost a few, and just to be blunt, 52 doesn't happen here very often. We were doing a really good job at hiring, being aggressive, and we were getting a lot of things done. But realistically, having 52 officers here it doesn't happen very often. So 48 I don't want to get locked in there, because if my numbers go back up like I think they're going to, I may need 52, but I'll come back to the court and discuss that. But I'm willing to do 48, and that's what I'm trying to do to help the budget.
Squire Sebastian, you had your hand up.
Yeah, yes, sir. I think we were trying to get at the same thing. Jay LeBron, I appreciate you talking to us about feeling confident in the number of 48, because I think the court has discussed over the last 2 meetings reducing the number of 52 down to 48. So that's the only reason I've come back to that one more time, just to ensure that we're still on the same page with what Jay LeBron has seen a small uptick recently, and just want to make sure we spent quite a bit of time at the last meeting talking about the secure side and the number of shifts, the number of staff. So it sounds like we're still in the ballpark of that 48 being the number going forward for this budget that is proposed and we're discussing today. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we've gone around twice. So I'll entertain any other motions or any other thoughts on the budget, and if we don't hear any more, then we will adjourn our budget meeting, and you can log off Zoom and then log back on at 5 o'clock for our regular meeting. So I entertain any other thoughts. Raise your hand if you have a thought. Okay. Seeing no other thoughts, then do we need a motion to adjourn?
We do, but are we ready for first reading?
Let me ask the court, are you ready for a first reading on the budget?
We're gonna be tight with the Department of Finance.
It's on the agenda, so,
Yes.
okay, there's one. Marty's two.
We're not gonna make our advertising deadlines, we don't get a first reading.
Okay. Squire Blackburn, are you ready for a first reading on the budget? Give me a thumbs up or down, sir.
Can't hear you.
I can't hear you. Okay. Squire Sebastian? Okay. Muller?
Judge, I don't want to be the odd one out, but I am still hopeful that department heads could, I know we've gone over these numbers, but I'm personally not there every day, and I'm not a department head, and I am hopeful that we could get closer to that number so we don't have to go into reserve. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, Judge.
Squire Tracy?
the same. Like I said, I know we're in a bad spot and we're in an unprecedented situation, and it's just where I'm at.
Okay, well, it looks like we've got, there's 4 votes to do a first reading today. It is on the agenda, so we will have that. Are there any other questions about the budget? Squire Moore?
When are we gonna talk about KCDC's budget? After the first reading, or we're gonna talk about that now? Or?
We have to wait until she meets with her board and she has to.
Yeah, we'll have to, is that how we have to do it?
She has to take it back to her board.
Yeah, we'll have to, so it will have to be at the when we do the second reading,
Okay.
okay?
Check, thank you. I move for adjournment.
Okay, is there a second? Seconded by Squire Booth.
She needs to say it.
Squire Booth,
I don't know.
Squire Booth, will you say it, please? And just say, I second it.
I second it.
Thank you. All right, call the roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Yes.
Squire Blackburn,
Yes.
Squire Muller,
Yes.
Squire Tracy,
Yes.
Squire Booth,
Yes.
Squire Moore,
Yes.
Judge Wells.
Yes, we're adjourned. We will be back at 5 o'clock. You can leave and then come back at a little before 5, and we'll have our regular meeting at 5 o'clock. Thanks, everybody.